Quantum of Solace is not a bad Bond film. But first, we have a bit of continuity to get to. So last time we did review Roulette, Dan did it, and he didn't really do a proper episode. So, I let the comment section decide what his punishment was going to be. And you chose... castration!
What?
It's like no blood at all. Let's talk James Bond. With 23 films in the series stretching all the way back to 1962, it stands as one of the most prolific and successful franchises of all time. And people love it. Why wouldn't they? James Bond is a suave, sophisticated man. He even sexy. For a guy, anyway. When I was growing up, a lot of my knowledge of film and pop culture was influenced by my father, and he was a huge James Bond fan, so I got to see the best of the Bond franchise. Now, I was born in 1988, so I pretty much missed Timothy Dalton's tenure as James Bond. His last film would come out in '89, and, well, I was only 1 year old at the time, so I probably wouldn't have remembered it. 1-year-olds have this weird memory issue that they can't really remember anything. So my first real James Bond experience was with Pierce Brosnan. Wow, did his movies suck. Okay, that's not exactly fair. I liked Brosnan as Bond, I really did. But his films seemed more of the popcorn variety and felt like they had very little substance beyond being just fun action films. Tomorrow Never Dies, World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day are seen as three of the worst films in the franchise, next to most of Roger Moore's tenure. No offense, Roger, but a clown? Really? The problem with Pierce Brosnan's movies is they always seemed a little too goofy. I mean, look at this scene from Tomorrow Never Dies.
Use your relationship with Mrs. Carver if necessary.
I doubt if she'll remember me.
Remind her. Then pump her for information.
You'll just have to decide how much pumping is needed, James.
Now, puns have been around since the Sean Connery years, but, that was bad. That was really freaking bad. I mean, I counted at least 12 of them during my rewatch of GoldenEye, and, it's a bit too much. So when it came time to end Brosnan's tenure, Daniel Craig was picked up, and the first film, Casino Royale, was a huge success. It took on a darker tone, showed us a younger and more inexperienced Bond right after acquiring his 00 status, and felt like a more serious movie than previous contenders. Fans of the books felt like this movie fit a lot better than the James Bond from the novels. Of course, they also liked On Her Majesty's Secret Service, so take that information as you will. This set up a lot of people to get really hyped for Daniel Craig's second film, Quantum of Solace. And wow, did it get bad reviews when it came out. So I've heard a myriad of complaints online from people about Quantum, saying it's the weakest of the Daniel Craig films, the plot makes no sense, and the villain's a total joke, but after watching it again, I find that it's really not that bad. I liked the movie a lot more than the first time I watched it, so I decided to do an entire review roulette for it. Yes, we will get back to gaming videos next week, comment section, just bear with me, alright? The biggest criticism I've seen people levy against this is that the script doesn't really make sense. This was mostly due to the 2007 Writers Guild strike. Now, some big-budget productions seem to have stories as kind of an afterthought, but with Quantum, they already had a bare-bones script when shooting, and they weren't able to finish it because of the strike in 2007. Hell, Daniel Craig had to step in and help write some of the scenes as well. This caused them to film a lot of the big action scenes first, and then step in and fill a lot of the other scenes later once the spec script was finished. After the strike had ended. They had already shot most of the movie at that point. So yes, this means that the story is an incomprehensible mess. Bond captures Mr. White from the previous film, Mr. White escapes, Bond finds out there was another guy responsible for his fiance's death, goes after him and kills him in a big climax. Actually, that seems pretty straightforward. What I can garner is that this feels less like a Bond film and more like a revenge film where Bond can get his aggression out on a guy who was responsible for his fiance's death. It's not a spy thriller about some random government conspiracy. Bond is just going after the truth of why the woman he loved turned against him. Now, there is a subplot where the villain of the film tries to take over 60% of Bolivia's water supply, which I guess gets resolved because MI6 is going after him, but that's really more of an afterthought. This is mostly just a James Bond revenge film. The movie does kind of feel like two scripts that have been crammed together. One about the revenge plot, the other about Bolivia's water supply. But the thing is, both of them actually do kind of get a resolution in the end, and Bond gets to take out the bad guy in the process. Which brings me to the next problem that people have with the film, Dominic Green, the bad guy. The movie starts off being about Mr. White and the organization known as Quantum, which feels like the old organization from the Sean Connery film Spectre, but I'll get to that later. It then changes pace when Bond goes on the trail of Green. Now, unlike what I said earlier, Green isn't connected to Bond's fiancée's death after all, but he is connected to the Quantum Group, which Mr. White was also connected to, and they need to try and find him again. Now, the new movie hints that both Quantum and Spectre are the same organization, and if you guys want to, I'll do a movie review of it when it comes out. But people's problem with Green is that he doesn't feel like a Blofeld-style bad guy. He's just some henchman who got way too much power. But honestly, I don't see why this is a bad thing. Sometimes the hero of the film doesn't need to go after the big, huge corporation or the ultimate bad guy. Sometimes they just need a trial run to show that they can still go after smaller threats. Marvel is doing this pretty well with Ant-Man and some of their other movies, and Quantum feels like a smaller hurdle that Bond just needs to get over before trying to tackle something bigger. Another big problem that people had with the movie is that it's a direct continuation of Casino Royale. Most Bond films up until now, in fact all Bond films up until now, were single stories. This is just one mission in James Bond's repertoire. That way you can just jump right in and catch the entire thing without needing some kind of a backstory. With Quantum, you needed the backstory of Casino Royale to understand what the hell's going on. Now there is some character continuity between movies like Blofeld and M, but for the most part Casino Royale is really meant to be a movie for Bond fans, which is ultimately why I think it's not that bad of a film. This is a film for James Bond fans to see James Bond step out of the limelight a little bit and become the character that we've always wanted him to be. Having lost the love of his life, James is now the cold-blooded killer that he is in all the other movies. This way he has a complete disconnect and he can get the job done like he was always meant to do. This is why I think Quantum of Solace is not that bad of a movie. This is the setup for James Bond. This is the end of his origin story, and every movie afterwards can just move him forward, having him be in brand new missions each time. He's now the cold-hearted killer that he is in every other film, and Quantum had to beat him down just to be able to bring him back up so that we can complete his origin story and move forward with new missions. One last thing, the movie doesn't pay off the big problem of what is the Quantum Organization? Seriously, the Quantum Organization is Spectre. I'm just ashamed it took me until this year to figure that out. But even with the writing issues, the fact that you had to watch Casino Royale first, and the fact that the other two Daniel Craig films are infinitely better, I still think Quantum of Solace is a really good James Bond movie. Craig's acting is great, and I think the story flows really well despite the problems that they had in production. So go ahead and watch it again, and see if your opinion doesn't falter from the first time you saw it. We are going to spin to see what our next review roulette is. And spin. That's off. And we have the number 22. The number 22. Future Dan, put up what number 22 is. Ooh. No idea what that is because I don't have the list in front of me, but it's probably going to be fun. I'll see you next time.